You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe. Awesome food, great drinks, and atmosphere to match. And the Sen Shuttle, $17 round trip to and from the CTC. I'm Ross Levitan, joined by the Martian and our guy, Jack Richardson here, breaking down a 3-0 shutout victory for the Ottawa Senators in Carolina. The House of Horrors, no more. Wow. Great performances all around, especially Shane Pinto off the schneid. 19-game goal drought. That's over. 2 points from Nick Cousins. 2 points from Mike Amadio. 2 points for Nick Jensen. He gets the other goal. And Linus Ullmark with a 32-save shutout. Martian, how you feeling about this one, fella?
That one makes me feel pretty good, Ross. I'm not going to lie. That's one of those ones we look at on the schedule and go, oh, no, we're going into Carolina. It's going to be a little bit scary. But no, the boys out-caned the Canes, as I'm saying right now. The way they played was exactly the way the Canes play. You know, on the right side of the puck all night, clogging up the neutral zone, great goaltending, and capitalizing on chances. So for me, I'm very happy with the way they performed tonight. Obviously, 3-0 win. That's sexy as heck.
Jack, we have to thank you for sitting out the Shane Pinto bet tonight. Guy doesn't score once, he scores twice.
Listen, if it took me to sit out that bet for him to score twice and get off the schneid, I'll do it every time. Who's next on the chopping block? Who do we need to get a goal next? But we'll get into that later, man. What a performance from the Ottawa Senators. You can't write a better storyline going into that game. The fact that Pilsey's not here to own up for what he said today about this being a scheduled loss, just throw in the towel. Obviously, Pilsey taking a little bit of a trip out west, and he'll be boots in the ground in Calgary, which will be exciting for him. But man, I don't blame Pilsey, honestly, because of the record coming in. Like, what was it? It was they had 4 wins here since like 2015 or something like that in Carolina. I might be misquoting that a little bit, but just an absolute dominant. I don't want to say dominant, but just I wasn't worried about the Ottawa Senators that game. I think they just had it from the start, and they deserve that in Raleigh.
Sens improved to 12-2 on the season when they score first. That courtesy of Shane Pinto. It took until the second period, though, boys. Like, this one was as tight checking of a game as you'd expect for a game between the Ottawa Senators and the Carolina Hurricanes. What was the difference to you in this game, Jack?
I think Ullmark again, man. Like, you don't want to start there, but just I mentioned in the first period especially, he just swallows pucks. Like, if there's any sense that the Sens are getting pressured in their own end, which it happened a few times, Carolina's a buzzsaw. They just go around the offensive zone. But Ullmark just freezes the puck so often and like calms it down, gets the team a whistle, takes his time giving it to the ref. Like, he's very methodical and calm the way he plays. And when he's on his game, it's something to watch, man. Like, we're getting some Vezina caliber goaltending from Linus Ullmark the past 2 weeks, Martian, don't you think?
Yeah, he's been like, ever since it snowed, boys, this is what I'm saying now. Once the snow hits and his kids are happy and Linus Ullmark is in his environment, all of a sudden he's looking very comfortable here. And then, you know what, just to be honest, like, this is what they say about guys who get traded to a new team, right? It takes them a little bit of time to get settled in. And I think we're finally starting to see what Linus Ullmark can be for this team going forward, like every single game. Look at these last 6 games from this guy. He's been unbelievable. If you're not a math guy, that's a 9.49 save percentage over the last 6 games. One loss in there, and it was an overtime or shootout loss, and that's a 5-0-1 record there, fellas. So looking good for Linus Ullmark here. And you can't see enough good things about him. I can't remember the last time there was a shutout in Carolina for the Ottawa Senators. It has to have been like at least 10 years since that's happened.
I'm glad you asked, Martian, because ask and you will receive answers. Our friend John Perlberg with TSN Sports, it's been 17 years since that day. Almost.
Okay, wait. There was a shutout. Who was the goalie? Let's guess. Let's do it.
2 goalies played in that game, so you got a better guess. Get this, though, boys. December 12th, 2007. We are almost 14 years to the day of that night. Anyone in the chat want to guess there who the goalies were that night?
I'm going to say Ray Emery.
Ray Emery started that game, played 5 minutes and 24 seconds before leaving with a 2-0 lead.
2013?
2007.
Martin Gerber.
Martin Gerber was the other goalie. Shout out to our guy, John Perlberg. We got to have a beer with John Perlberg in Minnesota after the game last year, Pilsy and I. Such a beauty. Great guy, and it was a 6-0 win there. So Eric saying Ken Dryden nets. Man.
Who gets the shutout in that one? Sorry, I don't mean to, like, is it Emery?
That's a great question.
See, I don't know.
I don't know who Perlberg.
I think whoever gets the win gets the shutout. So,
but who gets the win? I guess if like he stopped all the shot. I don't know. That's a question for another day.
Gerber.
But just interesting. Gerber.
It is. I want everybody in the chat to read my banner too. I spent some time on that one there. But BFM mentioning Martian, your math was off on Linus Ullmark's last 6 games.
Oh,
956. Even better.
I'll take that. So that's a happy accident, as we call it in the industry here.
Okay, so we start with Linus Ullmark, rightfully so, and the Ottawa Senators on the road now 5-7-1, and in those 5 wins, they have 3 shutouts. So that in itself is a great stat too. But boys, you want to see the look of relief on the face of Shane Pinto as he's going through the handshake line. This is courtesy of our friends over at USA Today Images, proud partner of Locked On Podcast Network, but the look on not only his face, but boys, we know how well liked Shane Pinto is in that locker room. Nick Cousins and Michael Amadio, they swarm him on the ice. So does Thomas Chabot. But one of my favorite moments from tonight was in the goalie hug line. Linus Ullmark just grabbing his helmet right off, giving him a shake. Like that too, as you go into now a stretch where 9 of the next 10 are on the road. Like, talk about a jump start on the team building aspect of it, getting Shane Pinto back in the scoreboard, and then the empty netter. Like who else but Shane Pinto to score the empty net goal? It's like when it rains, it pours type thing. Well, when it's sunny, man, there's not a cloud in the sky right now. So Jack, what are your expectations now? Like, do you think this is going to be the start of a stretch where we see Shane Pinto pop off maybe 5-6 goals over the next couple of weeks?
The floodgates are open in my mind. I think he's been all around it the past few games. He got a Sens Central standout, nod from me 2 times, I think, in the last few games, because he's been so good and he just finally gets rewarded. I like that he gets the empty netter too. And it was a nice play. Like he kind of snuck it under, I think it was Brent Burns, who's an absolute hound back there. Crazy that guy doesn't lead the league in penalties, the slashes he was giving out, but we'll get to that another day when we break down the Carolina Hurricanes. I think that was a big win for the Sens, man. Like just every forward was grinding. And in these games, you need your bottom six to step up. And if you would have told me the top six wouldn't get a point tonight and the Sens walk away winning by 3, I would have called you crazy. And that's what happens when you get depth scoring. That third line was on their toes all night. Like Michael Amadio, I think, has maybe not gotten all the goals that the Sens fans have wanted, but his analytics are pretty good defensively, even though he doesn't look like he might be impacting the game that well. But I think the last 5 games or so, him and Nick Cousins have really brought a nice element on that third line, and they got rewarded tonight. Each had 2 points. Pinto with the 2 goals is who you want scoring, is obviously, but they've been playing well for a few weeks now.
And Michael Amadio, the secret sauce for the Ottawa Senators. This was the 7th game that Michael Amadio contributed at least a point in. Sens are 6-0-1 when Michael Amadio finds his way onto the score sheet this season. Our guy, Skylar Peters, pistol, I'm at the CJOB office right now. Just finished my shift here. But he mentions that in that game where Emery gets the win because he was on with a game-winning goal, no goalies credited for the shutout. You got to play the whole game to get the shutout. But that's 14 years ago. We're living tonight, boys. And I want to touch, we have so much to get to, but like early on in this game, couple bad calls go against the Sens. Specifically, I thought the JBD call was garbage. Like he just leaned on him a little bit. The PK, all of a sudden, 7 kills in a row. Those 2 were huge in that first period. Martian, it's the aggressiveness, that's really changed.
I think that's all it is. And not just the aggressiveness, but the cognizance of the players to maintain possession when they have it and they have a little bit of space. It's like, okay, you're on the kill. A lot of guys were just going to panic and fire that puck down the ice. But the Sens are doing a great job of maintaining possession while they're on the kill. They'll skate it into your zone, and then they're going to fire it right back to their own. And their defensemen are going to go D to D, and then they're going to go the other way again. And it's just like, it's beautiful. They're killing a ton of time with being a skilled team who doesn't need the extra man to maintain possession, which is a beautiful thing, boys.
Beautiful is just the tip of the iceberg. Ottawa Senators, by the way, now back to above NHL 500 for the first time since game 15 of the season. And it takes them until game 30. Game 29. I can't be giving them extra games. Game 29. Yet. Game 29.
Tomorrow.
Oh, you want to get ahead of yourself, do you?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to be there, so I'm really pumped to watch the guys. I think we're in a good spot in the season. I think just
17 years.
Last home game until January 9th. January 9th. Like this is going to be it'll be a fun one tomorrow, Martian.
I think that's going to be part of it for me, is like knowing that I'm not going to be able to go back for about a month and a half. So I'm going to be at a couple World Junior games, I imagine. But other than that, it's like I'm going to miss the boys. I'm going to miss the Sens. They're going to be on the road for so long. And hopefully they can get off on the right foot here. If they get that win against the Penguins, that's going to be a big one, boys.
Huge. And it was a great game on TSN tonight as well. Kenzie Lalonde with the play-by-play. Martian, what was the stat you had there? It's pretty unbelievable when Kenzie's on the call. Good Ottawa girl.
Yeah, great Ottawa girl. It's pretty funny, actually. So they've played 2 games with Kenzie Lalonde on the call, and both games have been 3-0 shutout victories for the Ottawa Senators. The first, obviously, against the Leafs back then about a month ago, and then this one tonight. So Kenzie Lalonde's the good luck charm here.
Well, I teed you up with that because it's also the last time the Sens were above 500. That was the game that put them at 8-7-0 on the season. So unreal.
Linus Ullmark's only other shutout this season. Like a lot of parallels, man. That's
and it actually feels very similar because like after that game, I felt very good about this team after that win against the Leafs. Then they went on that 5-game losing streak right after that, right? So it's like,
and Ullmark had the Philly game.
So hopefully
that's Ullmark's last loss. No, am I making that up?
No, because then they did Vegas, Edmonton, Vancouver.
That homestand doesn't count.
Since Vancouver, they've been a different team. Yeah, the homestand was. I was in the building for that one. Talk about a vibe switch since after that game. That's been they've been hot. They're 4-2-1 or 4-2-1 or whatever their record is in the last. Yeah, 6-2-1. I'm
6-2-1 in the Lily Levitan era. She's the slump buster. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
She is. Yeah.
Unreal. I'm trying to get Pilsy to send in a video here. He can't join us live, but we do have a boots on the ground report. Our guy Nate was at the game, and he's going to jump on. So why don't I hit an ad here real quick? We still have Send Central standouts. Nate's going to be fired up here. Enemy territory. He says he's in the car driving back, and his wife is a Carolina Hurricanes fan. So we'll get to Nate in just a minute. But first, let me tell you about the Glebe Central Pub, the Glebe Central Pub, right in the heart of the Glebe, 779 Bank Street. And when you head there, let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. They've got great food, awesome drinks, an atmosphere to match. And I didn't even mention yet the Send Shuttle. The Send Shuttle is the best way to get to and from the CTC, just $17 round trip. If you go tomorrow, my parents will be on the GCP shuttle. They know how to get to and from the CTC. That's how you do it. You go get your tickets online, GlebeCentralPub.com. The link is in our bio below. Drive to the game with Sens fans. It leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game, and it will take you right back to the pub afterwards, 15 minutes after, right where they drop you off. It is so easy. And the best part is you end up at the pub, and who knows what kind of fun you can get into at the GCP. So head to where the vibes are free at the GCP, 779 Bank Street, and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. If you want to win real money on sports action, join over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings at Prize Picks. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 sports book. Prize Picks also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So go download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app, use code LOCKEDONNHL at Prize Picks and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan. We got Lalime's Martian here. We got Jack Richardson here, and we also have our guy Nate DeOrio with us after the game. What's up, fella? How was it?
How's it going, boys?
How was the game? You have fun in there? That's a house of horrors, man. We had Cheryl on after the last time they played in Carolina. She said it was a rowdy, a bit of an obnoxious environment. What was your experience there tonight?
Honestly, I think the Sens kind of lulled them to sleep. Sens were getting all the loose pucks. They were kind of Ullmark was in position the whole game. There's nothing really to get excited about, so the crowd was kind of calm the whole time, and I think it helped the boys out just to keep them quiet early. You know, I was worried with two PKs in the first period. I figured it was going to get ugly early, and with those 2 PKs, they got the kills, and I think that was a big momentum change.
And Nate, you're from Nashville, right? How'd you become a Sens fan to begin with?
Yeah, so I grew up in Binghamton, New York. I was about 3 or 4 years old when the Binghamton Senators moved into town. So I grew up watching Jason Spezza, Ray Emery on the B Sens. The A-Train Volchenkov was there as a kid. So I stuck with the Ottawa Senators. I was like about halfway between Buffalo and the Rangers. So I stuck with Ottawa with the B Sens. And then my wife's from Eastern North Carolina, so she's been a Canes fan her whole life. So they invited her to the games. So.
That's a crazy origin story. You don't meet many Sens fans who started in Binghamton, but I guess it makes a lot of sense. I've actually seen games in Binghamton. It's a lot of fun down there. That's a bit of a jungle. But just talking about tonight's game, who for you stood out tonight, Nate? Like, just boots on the ground report. Like, give me the guy for you who was the #1 guy for you tonight.
I'd have to say Ullmark. I mean, he everything just looked like it was hitting him in the chest. He was in position the whole game. I only remember maybe 2 saves where he had to really stretch out for one. Other than that, it just looked like they were all hitting him in the crest. Obviously, Pinto getting the 2 goals after waiting from opening night was huge, but Ullmark I think was most noticeable for me.
So Nate, in the last game for the Sens in Carolina, you guys were there. Have you been going to a lot of Sens and Hurricanes games? And if so, how does it feel to finally see them win a game down there, man?
So this was actually the first time we had gone to one of the Canes. Normally we're at the Preds and Sens games. We're only about 40 minutes outside of Bridgestone Arena. So last year the Sens took a 4-1 loss, and the year before I got to see the win. But this is the first time I've actually been there for a Canes game. And the whole time me and my wife have been together, I think we're usually watching from the living room, and the Canes have won. So this this is the first time I've got the win, so it feels pretty good.
You got bragging rights. What's your wife's thoughts on the game tonight?
I don't want to talk about it.
So she's actually
Oh, give her a break, Ross.
Her
she's,
Shane Pinto jersey's in the mail, I bet.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a rough start after I thought he broke both of his ankles in the first period. I think it was. That was a tough start, but he had a big comeback after that.
So sick, man. Well, we appreciate the boots on the ground report. We got to get you on the pod for a proper citizen segment because I want to dive into that story about you growing up in Binghamton. But we appreciate the boots on the ground report. Drive safe and go Sens go.
Absolutely. I'll be at the game February 3rd if you guys need another one in Nashville.
Absolutely. Lock it in right now. Nate DiOrdio, appreciate you jumping on the pod, fella. Go Sens go. And as I mentioned, drive safe. There he goes. Nate DiOrdio. Damn, I love these boots on the ground reports. Doesn't that get you fired up, man?
Dude, that was
So
awesome.
good.
Dude, that was awesome, man. That guy had a sick accent. Like being from Nashville, that's a good connection for us. I think we can give him a call sometime.
The Binghamton story, man. Like, who have you met that started as a Binghamton Senators fan? That's a deep pull. That's awesome.
We got to clip his wife just saying, I don't want to talk about it.
That was so good. That was so good.
I've got to be one of the. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a game. Have you guys ever been to a game in Binghamton before?
So I have, but it was like I was in Syracuse and I saw Binghamton in Syracuse. So I've never been in Binghamton. That's what it was.
Go to like that barn was insane. Like the glass was like so low. I was sitting right behind the penalty box. I was basically in the penalty box with all these guys during the playoffs. They were playing Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. We had like Borowiecki on D. We had Leonard and Net. Like our team was stacked. It was like Zach Smith. All these guys they played for the Sens later on. Pajot was on that team, and I was just giving it to the guys in the box. I had a great time. It was like an absolute zoo in there, though. You should see the people from Binghamton going after these like opposing teams. It got crazy. Like that town is nuts. It's so small, but it is dungy, but it's like you get it. Once you're in that barn, you can feel the energy. That's what they're there for.
That's so sick. We've actually got Pro Nick and Rhetoric 19 in the chat saying they also became Ottawa Senators fans through Binghamton. So the pipeline continues. Yeah, dude, how sick is that?
We got upstate New York taken care of.
That's awesome. Boys, we got to get back to Linus Ullmark tonight. And Miguel Tardif in the chat, we actually were talking about this with Mark Mathot in our group chat earlier, Martian, where he was like, hey, when's the last time Ullmark's played back-to-back games? Well, I looked it up, and Miguel's right. It was February 22nd and 23rd of 2021 during the COVID season, and he was playing with the Buffalo Sabres at the time. And, boys, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but in the second half of that back-to-back, hit a .949 save percentage in that game. So I know it's been 3 years, but I might start Ullmark tomorrow.
You start him tomorrow, Ross.
You got it.
He had a good workload tonight. I would say he did his job tonight. He had a lot of work, but at the same time, I've been saying this, they're professional athletes. These guys should be able to play 2 games in a row every now and then when the team needs them. And there's never been a better time for the team to get them. We're in a stretch right now. It's very important. If they get 2 games to get above 500, that's great. That's like a good little spot to be in while they are about to head on this long road trip. I mean, they need every point they can get, Ross. And who gives them the best chance to win? It's Linus Ullmark. So throw him back in there. He's gonna be fine. He's not gonna get hurt. He's not gonna play poorly because he's tired. He's a professional athlete. He's in a good mood right now, and he's hot. So I think you just gotta ride this guy. You gotta ride this guy while he's here.
And Jack, you're on the Pilsy school of thought, but I'll just throw you this. For the fans, Linus Ullmark has to play. It's your last home game until January. Put in Linus. Hey, if you play Linus tomorrow and you win, you know what? Either way, play Forsey in Seattle. That's what I'll settle with. Play Forsey in Seattle. That way you're not riding Linus in like a 5-7, or like, you know what, every other night. He needs to play tomorrow night. He needs to play. It's a team that you are right beside in the standings. I know you got games in hand on Pitt, but this is a critical game, and this win tonight just makes me even want it more. He's got to play. What's your thought process, Jacko?
Listen. I want to see Linus Ullmark.
You're changing your mind.
Listen, hang on. I want to see Linus Ullmark more than anyone too, because
Doesn't sound like it. I can already tell.
like a Vezina candidate the last 2 weeks. He's been that good. 956 at whatever it is absurd. I just think whatever he wants to do is what they should do. If they go to him and say, hey, can you go tomorrow? And he says no, I don't think that's the end of the world, because I want whatever is going to make him feel best. I want this Linus Ullmark. I don't want the Linus Ullmark that was kind of struggling a little bit in early November, October, right? So I think they've said they've had this plan with their goalies. They keep alluding to the plan. We've got a plan. It seems to be the plan now is just ride Forsberg in the second half of back-to-backs, because they have so many of them coming up. And then that way it's still 7 games over the next month and a half that Forsberg is going to play pretty much. Ullmark gets the rest. That's how I would see it. I think if you start him tomorrow just because he's hot, which again, I don't disagree with, I just think that'll kind of take away from this schedule they've gotten. And then it's, when do you start Forsberg? And I know you said the Kraken game, but I don't want to start a 9-game road trip with my backup goalie. I want Ullmark in there as much as possible, just when he's got rest. Like, I think letting him have tonight, roll into tomorrow, give Forsberg a chance to bounce back. And if he doesn't, different discussion. I don't know. Like, I can see them starting Ullmark. I just think if they do that, they're kind of straying from this plan they keep alluding to, which I don't know how I would feel about that. That's my only position on it.
Patrick would like you to stop being so reasonable, Jack. This isn't a reasonable area. The Postcast is all about highs and lows, riding the roller coaster.
I just said he's a Vezina candidate. Like, I think he's going to win the trophy. I'm riding highs.
We had a few people in our Twitter mentions, and look, I get it to an extent. The 5 games that Ullmark played previously, he had Anaheim twice, he had San Jose, he had Nashville, and he had Detroit. Not exactly a who's who of playoff competitors. What he did tonight against, for me, a top 3 team in the National Hockey League, top 5, I think you can't argue that. They're somewhere in the top 5. Incredible.
I mean, just top 3 in the conference easily. So you just go with that.
Yeah, and Eric's pointing out that toe save on the backhand right from the slot near the end of the second period. Like, if that's tied 1-1 after 2 periods, we're looking at a completely different game.
He made a few like that were like long reaching. Like, he doesn't look like he's making a big save, but he's just making a save because he's exploding out and his limbs are long, and he gets out there and he just makes a nice save and it goes in the corner and nobody sees anything else. He is a nice goalie, boys. I think if he can just keep playing the way he's playing, then we're going to be in great shape. We know what this team can do when they have over a 900 save percentage. And if this guy's refusing to let pucks in the net, then that's just going to, it's going to do great things for this team. And as far as even just their confidence offensively too, I think they can maybe start taking, the odd risk. I'm not saying they're there yet, but the way they're playing right now, they're really supporting each other and doing a great job.
I was so confident in his play that when they made it 2-0, I felt like this game was over. It was that, and I haven't felt that watching the Ottawa Senators in a long time. Like, it's a unique feeling you get when he's back there, and it's really crazy because they make that trade, and it was a pretty rocky road, I think, to this point. Like, all things considered, it wasn't super great right away. He had that awesome home opener. Then the injury, right? He just didn't look like himself, and maybe he was playing injured as well. But the last 2.5 weeks have been what you traded for, and it's unbelievable that A, they got him to sign right away before even playing a game, and B, that they traded for a Vezina caliber goaltender, and it just changes the way this team looks. And I think when you look at all those teams around them in the standings fighting for the wild card, and I'm including the Rangers in that now, they're the only other team with that kind of goaltending, I think, in my mind. And I think the Senators, with that kind of goaltending, with all the studs they have up front, and now with Pinto getting in the mix, that third line looking legit, it's a lot of reasons to be excited about this team right now, man.
Lots of great comments in the chat, and we'll get to more of them. Rudy saying he wants to go on a 9-to-1 ratio the rest of the year. Ullmark plays 9, then Forsey gets into 1, where we have others who are just saying, hey, let Forsey play tomorrow. It's going to be okay. Others pointing out that the last time Forsberg got a shutout this year was against the Seattle Kraken. So play Ullmark tomorrow and play Forsey in Seattle. That's a great long-term discussion as we look into tomorrow. But boys, this game was too good to just gloss by. A 3-0 win for the Ottawa Senators over the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes get 32 shots on goal. Ottawa puts up 22. Both teams go 0 for 2 on the power play. Ottawa top 5 team in the league in faceoffs. They win 55% tonight. They outblocked the Hurricanes by double, 16-8. Complete commitment to defense. Brady Tkachuk had a huge block, up 2-0 in the third period. We had 29 hits for Carolina, 26 for Ottawa, and the Hurricanes got 63% of the expected goals at 5-on-5. Still to come, we will hear from Travis Green. We will have Send Central standouts, but first, let me tell you about today's episode, because it's brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Over at FanDuel, we make sure that new customers are taken care of. At FanDuel, new customers who place a $5 bet get started with $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet hits. So go to FanDuel right now and get started, because the FanDuel app is so cool. I love it because I can go to the game page. You can see live play-by-play, view player stats, and make bets on the same page. So if you get a hunch in the middle of the game, go to FanDuel and get in on the action. New customers start with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed. We're driven for the search for better. When it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed, which is a matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors. That's according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. You can use it for scheduling, screening, and messaging. You can connect faster, and not only faster, but 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. That's according to a recent Indeed survey. Listeners of our show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get more jobs, more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. All right, back with the fellas. Jack Richardson, Lalime's Martian here. All of our descriptions are in the bio. You can go find us on Twitter there. Make sure you're following the boys at The Martian and Jack. Appreciate everyone. Over 600 of us vibing after a 3-0 shutout win against the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's get to our Send Central standouts. We'll wrap up the show hearing from Sens head coach Travis Green. Jack, you're up first.
All right, I'm going with Shane Pinto, man. I am. I'm going 3 for 3 this week with him. Finally breaks through with that goal. But even away from those goals, like the empty netter as well, just thought he had his legs again. Since they've turned this thing around after that losing streak, it's really been Pinto. I think that's stepped up before anyone else. Just in terms of guys who weren't playing their best and other people have followed along. So really happy with Shane Pinto, and he makes this team dangerous. So like I mentioned earlier, so if he's going, that third line's going, that second power play unit all of a sudden needs a little bit more attention from other teams. So big production from Shane Pinto in that third line today, led by number 12, getting off the schneid. First goal since the home opener, the opening night of the season.
Boys, you know what I haven't been able to update in a while? 14-game pointless drought. Sens are 43, 10, and 6 now all time when Shane Pinto gets a point. Martian, what'd you like about his game tonight?
I mean, let's just get this guy going again, because look at that record right there. When he's going, the team's going, and that whole line right there was fantastic tonight, right? It's like combined for whatever it is, it's 8 or 6 points between the three of them. That third line, so those guys were rolling out there together. So I just love the way they're finding chemistry. It took them a little bit. Finally, Shane Pinto gets going.
And we stopped doing the Pinto Norris Stützle stat for a little bit because it was getting worse, but now you can say it's improved. Senders are now 36, 20, and 5 all time when Shane Pinto, Josh Norris, and Timmy Stützle all play in the same game. One note on Tim Stützle, though, he took a hit in the third period, kind of went a little bit to that shoulder. Hope everything's all right with the young Timmy superstar who had his multi-assist streak snapped at 3 games tonight, but not to worry. Nick Cousins, Michael Matteo, Shane Pinto were there to do all the offensive damage. So Shane Pinto, the number 1 Sens Central standout in this game. Martian, you are up next.
Yeah, I appreciate you kicking it to me, Ross, because I wanted to touch on this guy, and that's I'm pointing to the back end here, and that's Nick Jensen. I think Nick Jensen, he came in here everybody kind of looked at that Jacob Chikrin trade and said, maybe that's not a great trade for Ottawa on paper. But when you look at the fit and what Nick Jensen has done for this team, I think it's safe to say that he's been our best defenseman all year long. I think that I don't think you can really argue with that, especially right here tonight. 2 points on the night, a great little goal. He snuck one through, and then a good assist as well. So Nick Jensen has been really consistent all year long. He's a good veteran presence back there for us. He's a right-handed, which is key. And I think Nick Jensen was a huge factor in this night's game. He was skating the puck well. He was carrying the puck on his stick all night long. And I think that Nick Jensen had an incredible night. So it's an easy pick for me. Dude, led all defensemen. Oh, no, sorry. Second in all defensemen. Chabot led all defensemen. But he had 23-32 on ice. He was out there a lot. One hit. And, I think Nick Jensen just had a good game.
Stud, goal and an assist for Nick Jensen in this one. And you're right, just calms everything down whenever he's on the ice. Honestly, I thought you were going to take Linus Ullmark, Martian, because I wanted to give Nick Jensen that Send Central standout. But don't worry, we're a goalie-friendly show here. Linus Ullmark will be my Send Central standout. So many clutch saves. He's so calm. I know we've got that thing going where he's playing in a rocking chair back there. Felt that way again tonight. The only play that I was a little worried about was a wraparound in the third period. I think it was still 1-0 at the time, if not 2-0. But I think it was Seth Jarvis had him kind of beat behind the net. But great play. I think it was Adam Gaudette or someone got a stick in there to make sure that it wasn't going to cross the goal line. Other than that, there was no close calls. He just had everything dialed in tonight. Linus Ullmark finding his game. We've talked about him probably more than anyone else on this postcast, so I won't get into it too much deeper, but I think we can snap it around twice. If we're going to go snake style, I'm going to take the next one, and a guy who I'm glad Jack gave some stick taps to after the last game, but boys, Thomas Chabot is playing out of his mind this season, not only offensively, but just controlling the pace of play. We always kind of got on him about slowing things down all the time, but now he's slowing things down and knowing when to speed back up. 3 hits credited tonight as well, 2 takeaways, led all Senators in ice time, 24-20. He and Nick Jensen were both +3 in a 3-0 win. I mean, if that doesn't tell you the story, that right there, pretty impressive on the back end. So I'm going to go with Thomas Chabot as my second Send Central standout.
Yeah, and that blocks category is a little bit bogus there, I think, too, Ross. He only got credit for 1 block, and I think we know for a fact that he blocked 2. He took one off the skate that he was limping around after, and then another one on the wrist. So he was blocking shots left and right. He was getting in the lanes, and I agree with you 100%. He's been different lately. Very good.
He just looks like he's back. I don't know, but it does feel differently defensively. Do you think that? I think of the guys who have bought in defensively, he to me gets forgotten still. I think there's Kachuk and Stutzla and Norris and Batherson are getting all the love for buying into the Jacques Martin kind of style, right? But Thomas Chabot, man, is looking like a threat at both ends of the ice, and him and Jensen are really solid together. And I think the fun thing, man, is that Jake Sanderson struggled a bit. Still didn't love him with Hamonic tonight, I think, overall. But as that's happening, I said it last time, Chabot's just taking his game to another level, and that's allowed him to be their top defenseman again with Nick Jensen. I think that's all of a sudden just become the top pair amid Sanderson's struggles. So it's really good to see him stepping up.
It's so awesome to see, and a guy who's been here through it all. They even said on the broadcast tonight, veteran defenseman Thomas Chabot, and I felt like I aged 10 years when I heard them say that. So, hey, credit where it's due. We've been tough on Shabby, tough love, though. This guy, we've been his biggest fan. I remember going to watch him when I was living in Halifax. He was playing for the St. John Sea Dogs. He scored a breakaway goal in overtime. I was like, I'm pretty sure on Facebook, this was before I was even active on Twitter, I said, this guy's going to be a Hall of Famer or something crazy like that. But he just looks so smooth. Only defenseman to ever win MVP at the World Juniors. That's a great kind of, water cooler stat to bring up with World Junior season upon us. But Thomas Chabot looks awesome tonight. Love to see it. Martian, your second Send Central standout.
Oh, sorry. It's actually Jack's turn.
No, we're doing snake style, buddy.
Yeah, so I went first, didn't I? Oh no, Jack went first. My bad. Okay, my bad. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Snake.
My bad, I got lost in the snake. I'm going to go with Nick Cousins, boys. I think Nick Cousins had a great game tonight. 2 points, 2 assists. He was buzzing around out there. He's causing havoc as he does, using his speed. I think Nick Cousins is a great central standout tonight, I feel like. Yeah, good Belleville boy. They got the Belleville Bulls game coming up tomorrow. I think that's a good omen for him. Yeah, he didn't get credit for any hits, which is I feel like is wrong because he was out there, he was buzzing around, he was doing his thing, and Nick Cousins two assists tonight, so good to see him, and a +3, boys, 15-20 on ice. So let's go with Nicky Cousins for my standout.
All right, Jack, I think I know where you're gonna go here.
Do you? I don't know if you do.
Oh.
I'm going back on the back end.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going with
Mario because he has
I would have, but I think that line was great, but he obviously deserves a shout. But I'm going with Tyler Clevin, man. I don't know if this chart's gonna reflect that. We haven't pulled that up yet, but like I just feel game by game he's getting more and more confident, and I didn't notice him tonight at all defensively, which is good when you're a defensive defenseman. I always like that as the eye test. But with the puck, I think him and JBD are just kind of, they know where each other are going to be. They have great chemistry as a pairing, you can tell. And yeah, sometimes maybe JBD will get oversized or overmatched physically, and that's just going to happen. But as he gets more comfortable, I think he'll get better at that. That's not a problem with Tyler Clevin. The problem with him, I would find, is maybe just getting forechecked a little bit too fast, hold on to pucks a little bit too long. I find that hasn't been an issue the last few weeks as everyone's really turned it around. So again, you don't win back-to-back situations. You don't go into Carolina without everyone clicking. And I'd imagine his ice time was up above 12, 13 minutes tonight. Just looked like a guy who is comfortable. Because I think when they went on that road trip to California before he got his first goal, there might have been some questions just about Clevin. Like he was kind of struggling the last few games. Sabrango gets the call.
He was under 10 minutes in back-to-back games before they went on the road trip.
Like he was just kind of losing it a little bit. And they called up Sabrango, another left shot. So he's really stepped up his game, and 13:08 for Clevin is what the final count was. And I think that's solid from your bottom pairing on a road game. You don't need to hide them. How many times have we seen the Sens kind of cut it to four defensemen, 2 pairings in games like that? And you're comfortable throwing them out there in a really hard building to play in.
Awesome night for all the Ottawa Senators. Huge win. They improve now to above 500, 14-13-2. They sit at 30 points, only show in town on the National Hockey League schedule tonight. Senators, though, still with 2 games in hand on the Islanders, who are 1 point ahead of them, a game in hand on the Philadelphia Flyers, who are 2 points ahead of them, and they sit in that final wild card spot. If you want to look at the division, I know Tampa's 2 points ahead, but they have 2 games in hand on Ottawa. I'm looking up at those Boston Bruins, 3 points up, but Ottawa with 3 games in hand on the Bruins. Only team I didn't mention was the New York Rangers. Martian already alluded to those frauds in last postcast, so we will leave it at that. The number 1 standout tonight, Shane Pinto, just spoke to the media, and look, it's a quick one, but we got to hear from the guy who scored his first goal since his first shot of the season on opening night, where all of us were boots on the ground at the CTC. Here's Shane Pinto with media courtesy of the Ottawa Senators YouTube page.
Congratulations on the victory here. This has got to feel sweet just from a team standpoint for sure, but personally.
Yeah, all around, feels good. I think obviously we got to enjoy for an hour here, but yeah, for me personally, it was definitely a monkey off my back, and hopefully I could just keep it going.
Attention to detail, good way to describe total team effort here tonight.
Yeah, I think that team, Carolina, is a good team, and if we didn't do that, then we would have won. So everyone was on board, and we did a great job, so it was good.
Getting some saves, too.
Yeah.
Arenas was outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, can't say enough about him. He's the reason we win that game. So, I mean, we're happy to have him.
A tough building to play in, and everybody talked about that going into this game. I'm not sure if the players all did, though. Was this just a full commitment to getting the job done?
Yeah, I think Greener did a good job of preparing us. I think, we just worried about ourselves. Obviously, we know it's that first period they come out hard, but I didn't think we were fazed by it, and we gave a good push, and we got the result, so it was good.
First quick,
All right, there's Shane Pinto. Quick, easy. Like, I know we got 1 giggle out of him there, but like that's as dialed in as I think I've ever seen Shane Pinto in an interview. Like, this guy knows that this is 1 step, but this is not something the Sens are going to be satisfied with. And Martian, that is a good sign in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. I think these guys are already focused on their next game. I don't think they're going to take a moment to enjoy this one maybe as much as they could. I think they're going to, they know they're on a back-to-back. They're right up against it at home against Pittsburgh. They got Sid the Kid coming in, milking a bunch of legends, Hall of Famers, Chris Letang. These guys are going to be ready to go. They just came off a 9-2 victory in Montreal. So you're not, you look, and Erik Karlsson as well back in Ottawa will always do a little bit of damage. I feel like he gets a little extra pep in his step. That old dog, he's always good. So you got to be careful with those Penguins, man. They're not as bad as their record shows, and they can bite you if you let them. So the Sens just need to keep it going here and continue to play a strong defensive game, because otherwise they're gonna get caught.
Jack, 3 times this season, the Ottawa Senators have hosted a team that was coming off a shutout loss the game before, whether it's in Montreal or in Toronto. Do you prefer a team coming into town after being shut out, or after scoring 9 goals in a 9-2 win?
9 goals, because they're not going to do that again. And, the Penguins are kind of one of those teams where I'm looking at and you wonder how much they have in them. Like, I just look at those teams around them and the Penguins are 1, but I don't think they've got the legs to get going this season. Like, I know their goaltending's been really, really poor this season. So, in the Habs, don't have to get going on the Montreal Canadiens. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves as Sens fans, I don't think. But, the Penguins are a team that the Sens should beat. And it doesn't matter if the Penguins were sitting there in Ottawa for a night. The Sens have proven, I think, that they can play well on back-to-backs, which is a positive this season, especially with what's coming up. So I'd expect a great game tomorrow, mainly also because the top 6 is pretty quiet tonight overall. So I think they're going to be hungry to get those goose eggs away from their score sheet.
Looking forward to that game. One more note on Shane Pinto. I mentioned the stat when he gets a point. Well, he had 2 tonight. And when Shane Pinto has 2 or more points in a game all time, Senators are 8-2-2 in their history. Now let's hear from Senators head coach. When we come back, we'll look at the stat card for tonight's game and then wrap things up. It's the Postcast, and here is Senators head coach Travis Green.
Use the word gritty to describe your team's performance. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. You've got to play gritty when you come into this building and play against this team. Just a good 60 minutes of hockey.
Attention to detail and commitment to that. Does that play a role in this one as well?
Yeah, I thought our commitment to checking away from the puck was big, and that's something we've talked about a lot. And it was a good win for our team. We've been playing some good hockey, and to get the results here is just going to help us.
Little things like stick position, taking passes away, winger wins on face-offs, things like that.
Yeah.
If you're not fully committed to that, it's a harder team.
Yeah, and I think we touched on that this morning with mental focus. That's a big part of it. You got to be physically engaged in your game, but you've also got to be smart in certain areas of the rink.
Shane Pinto, what can you say about his performance?
Yeah, happy for him. He's been playing his best hockey of the year. I think it was just a matter of time before he scored a goal, and nice to see him get 2. And that line's been a big part of us playing a lot of good hockey here lately.
Kind of on that note of checking, just the forecheck seemed to go to work when you guys got the lead. Just what you see from that area.
Yeah, I think it's, we've talked about playing with the lead and how you play with the lead. The last thing we want to do is sit back and just defend. We want to be aggressive, but also smart.
This is the 5th game in a row where you've led the other team in takeaways. What are you seeing on the ice that leads to a stat like that on the side?
I think it's just what we're talking about here with your little details in your game, being in the right position, having good sticks, committing away from the puck.
Can't help but take a real positive attitude into tomorrow's game.
Yeah. We had this kind of talk a few times with our team in back-to-back games. Whether you win or you lose, you've got to take it in, be honest with your game, enjoy it when you win, have an honest assessment if you don't, and then get ready to play the next day.
All right, there he is, Ottawa Senators head coach Travis Green. It's just business-like, boys? Like, Jack, what were your thoughts listening to Travis Green speak there?
Just looks like a coach who's getting his group to buy in. Like, everything he said is pretty indicative of what you see. It's nice, man. I think he deserves some credit just for the way that not only the top guys have been, but the bottom 6, like we've talked about a lot. There's been some issues with their production, let's say, but how much better is it this season compared to last? Like, you're talking about swapping guys like Noah Gregor for Dominic Kubalik, like just guys who are doing little tiny things every shift that I think their bottom six was lacking the last few seasons, where, a game like this, you could see it in the past where the top guys don't really get a ton going because Carolina's got those big dogs defensively to shut them down. And I'm not saying they didn't play a good game, but you need bottom of the lineup production, and you get a goal from Nick Jensen, 2 from Pinto, 2 points apiece for the third line. Like, that's a perfect script. So just to me, that's reflected in what Travis Green's saying. Like, that's a coach that's kind of like happy, very satisfied with his game on the road. Because road wins have been hard to come by for the Ottawa Senators this season. But the ones that they have had have been pretty impressive when you think about it.
Yeah, 5 wins on the roads, 3 shutouts on the road. Here's how the stat card looks tonight. Let's see if it matches the eye test. Nick Jensen at the very top, followed by Shane Pinto, Thomas Chabot, Michael Amadio, and Nick Cousins at the other end. Travis Hamonic in last, followed by Ridley Gregg and Zach Stapchuk. Martian, any surprises of what you're seeing here? Our friends over at Hockey Stat Card do a great job there at putting a little banner, but no bad performances really, all in all. Like, Jake Sanderson, a bit of up, bit of down, but all in all, lots to like from tonight.
Yeah, no surprises for me, Ross, here. This basically matches my eye test pretty good, and 2 of my Sen Central standouts made the top 4 there. So great drafting by me as well in the standout category. So that looks pretty much right to me. Chabot had a really good game. I think that's the biggest one for me right there. Chabot's game was great, but yeah, other than that, no real surprises here.
Yeah, love it. Jack, any comments on this? I know you had Clevin there, is a little bit on the lower side, but you know what? He's an absolute stud back there, the way he defended. And the Hurricanes were buzzing tonight too. So they created a lot. They get a lot of zone time, and you just have to have good sticks and be in the right position.
His defense is in the positive very slightly, so I'll take that. I think that's a fair shout out. Yeah, but I mean, pretty standard. Those top guys were the guys who produced and stood out tonight.
The Ottawa Senators back in the win column. They have now been able to, for the 5th time this season, win 2 games in a row. Can they make it a 3rd for the first time? We'll find out tomorrow night. We will be back with the postcast. It'll be Jack and I tomorrow night. Martian, any final thoughts for you on today's show?
Yeah, no, I'll be boots on the ground tomorrow. I'm looking forward to being there for that game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think hopefully this team can keep doing what they're doing here tonight and carry that into tomorrow at home. And I think it's going to be a good challenge for them to see if they can get 2 games above 500 now and continue to work their way up these Eastern Conference standings, because they're right in the mix here. And so, tonight I think they did great, but they can't sleep on this one too long. It's right on to tomorrow. That's what they got to focus on. So let's get it done.
For all the latest, you can go on Twitter at Sen Central, at Lalime's Martian, at Jack Richardson. You can click the link in the description here on the YouTube to jump right over to those pages. Senators get 2 points, and everybody who got 1 got 2 tonight as well. 2 goals for Shane Pinto, a goal and an assist for Nick Jensen, and 2 assists each for Nick Cousins and Michael Amadio. Linus Ullmark, a 32-save shutout. Ottawa Senators, 3-0 victors over the Carolina Hurricanes. Cannot wait for tomorrow. Like, anyone know how to fast forward time? I mean, let the boys rest a little, but I want to watch more Sens hockey. Cannot wait to chat with you about it in the postcast tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and engaging with the show. Always want to thank our friends over at the Glebe Central Pub. The postcast would not exist without the Glebe Central Pub, so make sure you support us by supporting them. Let's get some GSGs in the chat. Go Sens, go. Sens win 3-0. We'll chat with you tomorrow. For the Martian and Jack Richardson, I'm Ross Levitan. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.